right. Hello there. This is Daniel, and I am here with Morgan Bricka, fantastic muralist from California. Welcome to Break Through Your Art, and we have another great artist interview. Morgan, welcome to this interview. I really appreciate you being here.
Thanks, Daniel.
Morgan and I have known each other for almost over 25 years. You met my wife, Joanna, in Spain on a year abroad. Tell us briefly about how that brought you to where you are now.
Well, meeting Joanna was one of the luckiest days of my life because it's been such a strong, consistent friendship in my life. And let's see, yeah, we went to Spain. I went through 2 different careers, and then to where I am now. Let me see. We went to Cambodia last year. Like, I don't know. Like, it's great to have a tribe around you. Like, I am such a lone wolf. I was thinking that, today I would say the bane of my existence is my independence and my like lone wolf mentality. But I do have a tribe, and Joanna's right in there. So I appreciate her so much in my life.
Well, excellent. I know she really appreciates you, and we're happy that we've been able to see you grow and blossom with your current work for the last, decade plus, and it's been really, really awesome to see. So that said, you, unlike other artists that I've interviewed that are more visual artists making work on canvas, have displaying in galleries and putting stuff out like that, you have chosen to be a public artist. So tell me about why being a public artist is an important thing for you in your life and how that coalesced.
Yeah. I think for me, the main thread that brought me to art is that I am really like to stay physical, and I like to do things and make things. And I think that mural art, like being up on a ladder, being out in the world, it's more physical. And I think it's like how I think. Like, I actually came into it from home improvement projects and beautification, like around the house, and doing like smashing tiles and replastering. And, that's the way I came towards it. And that's like an aspect to who I am that I just embraced.
That physicality of having to do stuff
Yeah.
that's really big and set up scaffolding and create kind of giant spaces in order to, it's not just a canvas like this painting behind me, it's just a structure, simple. Is that like, what is your...
And then the second piece is that I did IT before, and I loved the aspect that I figured out that I loved in that job was I was helpful. I love being helpful. Like, it's the little girl in me that's like, how can I help? And the other thing about painting commissions, which I'm attracted to, which is not for every artist, is that I love the dialogue.
Yeah.
Like, I love that you wanted something and I provided it for you. That's like, yay, like bells and whistles go off in my head, because you're like, I wanted this and now I have it and I'm stoked, and Morgan helped me get it. So there's this like basic setup with commissions that I find satisfying, that, a lot of artists feel that their creativity would be muddied in that conversation. And I didn't come into it feeling that would be a threat. And so I think those are the 2 reasons.
Well, that's a really beautiful thing. And, for one, with you saying that you have this lone wolf mentality and you like to just go at it alone, but at the same time as creating a tribe with friends, you're creating community by working with people directly in their home, in a very sacred space, in a school, a public place, and then working with people to collaborate and make decisions and present your work and potentially make modifications. And then a lot of times I would imagine you're on show. People are seeing you making your work and talking to you, potentially asking questions and so forth.
That's interesting. And I can talk about that piece, but on the first piece, remember that each of my clients, like, a project is about a week for me. So these are short term. We have a conversation at the beginning. I create a design. The greatest thing is these aren't coworkers. They're not office workers. They're not in my life long periods. These are short. I only have to be, like, I am all on for them because it's a short collaboration.
Yeah.
So it's like, the deeper people who have been with me along the journey the whole way, like long-term employees, I can only keep people part-time, and those long-term collaborations, that is something I want to develop more. But anyway, to that point, it's not that
Yeah.
frightening. For a week, you can go on vacation, but anybody for a
Right.
week or whatever, it's just, yeah.
So you
So,
get to dive deep for these short spits of time
yeah.
and really make a deep connection with the people that you're working around or with for.
Yes. Yeah, I do feel deeply connected with them by the end of the week. We've done something together. It's
Nice.
rad, it's a collaboration, but then it's, like, packed up and moved on next week
Yeah.
somewhere else, right? So, it is a lot of deep connect like, just deep dives with people, deep conversations in their home about things, I feel like it's been a gift of my life to meet so many people in such a focused way. Yeah. And it's short term. Like, unlike a therapist, you see them every week, you expect to help them long term.
Right.
But then the other piece, you were talking about the public murals. There's different ways to look at it. And the way that I've sort of like developed over the years is nobody really cares. I mean, most people don't care. They're not paying attention to, are you qualified, or who chose you, or there's really no pressure. I've had multiple times where I'm proud finishing up a mural and somebody asked me to come take a photo and it's of them against their car facing the other direction, or like I have to put things on the sidewalk when I work outside. People are not paying attention to what I'm doing. They're living their day. Like,
Mhm.
actually, no, very few people care. And then the people that do comment over the years, day after day when I'm in public spaces, what I've learned, the comments are always about them. They're not about me or the art
Hmm.
or what they see.
Mhm.
So their comment will be about, like, "Psh, yeah, but you can't make a living at it." Or they'll be like, "Are those cookies?" And they're like, mice or something, or like, or like they want to know how long. Oh, that looks so hard. Or they'll be like, "Wow, this is unbelievable." And it's like, it's not that unbelievable, but you're having an unbelievable experience of it, and I'm happy for you.
And that's a wonderful thing that you're able to be immersed in that experience and you're able to give people something, whether it's for them or it's for to collaborate with you. And I definitely want to celebrate the fact, Morgan, what I've seen from you over the last, how long you've been painting murals now? 15 years plus?
25, yeah.
25 years. Like, one, like your hard shell that you can get, like, you like you say, some artists, like, personal commissions are really hard because you're working with someone that you just have this, like, tenacity and your ability, possibly from your IT world or just your own character, that you're able to, like, network and make these collaborations around the world. I've heard you doing projects in China, on bridges, like, just kind of like massive installations. And that is like a serious, like, really amazing character set for an artist, because a
Mm,
lot of artists, that's the challenge, is that ability to market yourself, to put yourself out there, to make things happen, to show up
yeah,
and keep putting it forward. So
yeah.
that's been really awesome for me
Yeah,
to see. Yeah.
thank you. I know. You know what? It's been an amazing ride. And as you say, your ability to market yourself, that has definitely, maybe I made an effort at some point, but at this point, it just feels like good luck all the time. So many
Nice.
referrals, just so many good people just taking the leap, like talking to me once and being like, yeah, you're the person we want to work with. And it feels deeper and beyond than a superficial effort or a strategy at this point, and maybe probably the whole way along, honestly. Yeah.
That's nice. It's nice, kind of that magic kind of keeps
Yeah.
setting forth.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing. Are there
Thanks.
specific themes or ideas that you like to work with in your art? And do they change according to whether it's for a private customer or for a public piece?
Yeah, I mean, I would say the main thing I go for in every piece I create is I want it to feel good to look at. And part of that is because the murals are so big in a space, they're going to dominate the space. Um, so I don't, my work specifically isn't to like challenge people or make a point. It's more about like, how can I make someone walk in the space and just say, wow, and feel both safe and comfortable and inspired and shifted a little bit? Like, wow, So sometimes that's soft, sometimes it's surprise. But a lot of times I work through landscapes because they make just people like, oh,
Hmm.
I wish I was there.
Yeah.
I am there. I live there. I see this wall all day long. I walk by this every day or like whatever. So I do have used a lot of landscapes.
Hmm.
And I remember one time Joanna was like, you should do a landscape, but like half the landscape is like deforestation and exploitation, like what it could be or what we want to get rid of. And then the other half is what makes you feel good. And when I try that out of my head, I'm like, no, I don't want, that's not my gift. My gift isn't to shake people up. It's to just make them feel good. And
It can feel good.
that's just what I enjoy doing. It feels good to feel good, and it feels good to share that gift. And actually, one of the first murals I did, it was so weird. I mean, it was like I had studied economics, went into IT, just put a little like business card thing that I'm painting murals now into a parents magazine. It was like my third mural project. And this woman hired me to paint an ocean scene in her daughter's bedroom. And I'll just say my art was terrible at this time. I was complete hack. It was as you would expect for somebody with no art experience. Um, but I was happy enough that somebody wanted to pay me some small amount to paint a mural. And when I finished, this woman just, when she walked in the room, she started crying. Like,
Ah, that's
it's so
nice.
beautiful to her. I was like, that is a metric that I would love to repeat. Like, she was touched. Probably not by my artwork as much that she could give her daughter that kind of a childhood.
Hmm.
Something beautiful in her room. She's like, my daughter gets to live in a beautiful room. And that
Yeah.
was that was the thing that hit her more than like Morgan's so amazing. But um, after that, it was like, how can I not go for that?
Yeah. I really love how that metric of receiving joy, seeing that enthusiasm is the metric that helps you qualify the success of what you're doing.
Yes, it really does.
Yeah, that's really
It
cool.
does. And people walk up and the amazingness is like this space was nothing before. It was a blank wall. It was so ugly. And like the now, and the way you get to that like big now is when it's like it feels totally different to be there. And to me, that's like, it feels good. It feels loved. It feels cared for. It feels just neutral. Like if it's a sideways move, like it's really interesting. It's really challenging. Or like, wow, that might throw off some people, but I go right for the like, let's just try to get as many people within the general population to be like, I love it as possible. Like, I just want to sign
That's so good. So you talked about a project you did 20 years ago in this house for this woman for her daughter. Where are you now? What kind of work are you doing now? And can you share a project with us, your process, how you got there, and what it is uh,
Yeah.
that
All
you're
I can
grateful
say,
for?
Daniel, my enthusiasm for a physical job has come back to bite me in the butt. At my ripe age of 51, like I'm hauling today. I've got to like load up my scaffold and my 9-foot ladder, and like I'm still doing all my tricks. Actually, today I recruited somebody, but so I just finished the biggest project of my career, and that was redoing the train station ceiling in San Jose. So it
Wow,
was a 75 by 35-foot ceiling. I'm working
amazing.
on scaffold with my neck up, but I had 5 assistants and we evenly distributed the work and we did it in 8 weeks. And the ceiling is like 3 stories up. So we're climbing, it was physical and then we have to climb the scaffold
Wow.
up there and all that, there's a lot. Um, but you walk into the station now and you look up and it's amazing. They've restored this 1932 station. They just restored all the benches. Actually, a cool side note is my boyfriend worked with me on this project and then they gave him the bench restoration project. So he's finishing that up now. So,
Oh, that's very
and
cool.
actually all of the people that were working with me, it felt so good to employ these artists, to pay them well, to give them bonuses and raises throughout as the work progressed faster. They networked together, like my daughter helped. So they're all like, wow, Allie's now trained. So when we have projects, we can hire Allie. So, I mean, the project floated a lot of boats. And that was actually the highlight of the whole project for me. Yeah. So I just finished that. And then,
That's a wonderful story, and the next time I am in San Jose, I do wanna get to the train station and see that.
right?
That is, like, monumental, especially the fact that it was a ceiling, and you had to go through that physical aspect of
Yeah.
working ceiling for.
Yeah, well, every project is, and I've done a lot of ceilings, and I had a
Mhm,
lot of ceiling work to show them. Even in a similar vein, it was like Italian Renaissance style, with different layers. Um, but yeah, they're also putting all new electric trains in San Jose, and they're putting their vision is for like a transportation hub that is going to expand for like the next 100 years. So they really want the station to be the key piece. And I think like it's called Diridon Station, Diridon's still alive, and making this ceiling and this station the center point for the growth because there's a lot of expansion planned.
mhm.
I think they want to invest in it just to kind of like make sure it doesn't go anywhere. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
You were talking about, another project, I think maybe your next project that you're just recently pitched that
Oh,
you want to
today
share.
I'm going to work, of course. No, I shouldn't say of course because I really, I mean, in context, I think I go and paint on average less than 10 days a month now. That's about 2 projects, 2 weeks of work for me a month. So unless I have a big project, then I might work 8 weeks in succession and then take a month off, which is sort of
That's
like,
a great work-life balance.
yeah, yeah. Well, it takes time there's a lot of desk work also with,
Mhm.
so I thought I'd share, I'm headed off today. It's called Vinland Library. I was on the short list. Well, I'm on the pre-approved artist list. And so every once in a while, I just get selected for projects. They'll just say, the committee chose you, the neighborhood association chose your work. We showed them maybe, I don't know how many artists they have on maybe 25, and they liked your work. So then sometimes they'll have like a top three, and then I'll get a stipend to develop a design for that. But anyway, so it was probably like a year ago that told me I was awarded this library. They want a mural in the library, and I'm just going to give you context for this project because I think it's helpful for other artists to know how murals go, how they get made, what the process is like, just in
So
case
exciting.
there's maybe, yeah. So first there was like a meeting where the community was invited. Mostly library staff came. I asked them, what is unique about this library, this community? What kind of themes would you like to see in the mural? And what came up is a lot of reasons they chose me is they wanted it to feel peaceful. They were hoping for actually a landscape because Almaden Valley is so beautiful. It's the Valley of the Heart's Delight. There was a lot of natural resources and good land here. So, um, I think it was like mercury mining a lot, but there was also, you know, apricots and plums and cherries, and it's beautiful, like, water lakes and mountains around it. So anyway, we talked about the themes, and sometimes it's inclusivity, and I talk a little bit about like how are we going to bring that theme into to what I'm painting. Anyway, so we have a meeting, and then I came up with two design directions based on what I heard from them. And then I pitched those design directions. And actually, the city of San Jose said, you know what, we like this design. We don't want to pitch the second design to them. But I thought I'd show you my initial proposal that I sent to the city. It was
Great.
back in February. And then here I am based on all my projects. They usually give you a 1 year timeline to complete. They're not in a hurry. And today, the librarians, they give me their hours. They give me, with the city, they really do a great job managing me. So I'm like, I have a point of contact, and it's almost like having a handler, which is great because
Nice.
on my own projects, I got to do all that.
Right.
Yeah, so I don't on this one. So I don't know if you want to share the
Sure.
proposal. I thought I'd
I will
just
share
hear
that. All right.
some ideas.
Tell us what you got going on here. Murals by Morgan design proposal.
Yeah, so I always put my letterhead on everything, and Cynthia's my city contact. I can't scroll from my computer. It looks like. Let's see. Why is that? Oh, I see. I need to go to my tab. Um,
Working it out live.
Yeah, I just want to be able to scroll through
Yeah,
myself.
for sure.
Um, are you seeing everything on my screen? Is that what's going on?
We're still seeing the cover design proposal.
Okay. I'm trying to find that tab so that I can scroll, but it seems to be
Why don't we do that
illegal.
again? I'm gonna remove it and you can bring it back
Oh,
on.
you know what? I know because I'm on full screen. Okay, tell me, can you see me scroll now?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Okay, so basically, with every mural, I am thinking about the space and how to optimize the space. So, who's gonna see the mural? In this case, I'd say 50% are under the age 12 because it's a library, and then 50% are over the age of 60 because it's a library. So those are the ones who use the space most. So that's why I can see why a landscape, something sweet, something soft, and then when you look at the wall, you're not going to see it in this first picture. It's an unusual shape. And so that's a huge like design constraint is this wall is an odd shape. It's over the bookshelf, long horizontal, white walls everywhere. So I didn't want to do a corner to corner mural, where you get like something dark colored all. It would really um, make it too defined to the edges. So I wanted something soft because the wall was an unusual size. So I kind of talked about why the framework is like how I came up with the design. In feedback from the community, I consistently heard a preference for nature themes inspired by the local environment and history of Almaden Valley that would be both inviting and inspire exploration. And those words are specific to, they said they wanted something inviting and also like the kids, the imagination, to inspire their imagination, inspire exploration. That was actually a word that was used. So I put that in the framework for the design. And then a picture is worth 1,000 words. So when I'm talking to somebody about a mural, I always try to show them examples of my work because especially on a public project where you're talking to strangers, they haven't been to your website. When you say a landscape, they don't know what you're talking about, what it's
Right.
going to look like. And so I always lead with other examples of work. So here's something that's both, they actually mentioned they wanted something colorful and peaceful. So this is like a balance of that, where it's got this peaceful moment, it's a lake. And so I'm like, okay, here's an example of work that might inspire the
And it's
design.
also a corner work, right? That
Yeah, this one goes up on the ceiling. Exactly. So actually on this project, I pitched bringing the tree like to anchor this mural up onto the ceiling in a similar way. So it's like, here's an example of a corner tree. This was actually in a girl's bedroom, and I'm using it as an example for, a public library, but because there's aspects of this that are similar. And one is that tree. Exactly. All right. And then the second example is I wanted to explain to them this white sky idea. So this is at the Lululemon in Napa, California. And on this one, to keep it clean, first of all, this landscape was softer, which is kind of what I'm pitching for the background.
hmm
The walls I kept white, and I want to do that today as a way to like dial down the color a little bit because the blue sky, it's just the white, it works and it keeps it cleaner. So it'll flow with the rest of the walls better. And then there's another example of that here. You see this whole landscape. This I
Oh,
also included because this is the same Napa Lululemon store, the other wall. The reason I included this is because the bookshelves are similar to this and that the art is going to go over the bookshelf in the
yeah.
same.
I like how this mural is interdispersed through the common space that people walk through.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And this one's really soft, and they said they wanted something stronger. So like in the lower areas, I'm going to do something stronger and brighter. But this is a white wall. I didn't touch the white wall, but there's like some balloons up here. But it really gives you this sense of place. And like in this one, I think there's one more image. This is a detail. I used spring. I used the mustard. Sometimes I try to show a more unexpected, like rather than Napa with the grapes, it's like Napa in spring with the mustard, which is what the locals see. And
Mm,
they want to see their Napa, not
yeah.
just the tourist Napa. So anyway, that's just a detail shot of that. But also Almaden Valley grew grapes, they said. So, but I was like, well, you guys don't want to put you for a library. I just didn't want like a wine theme going on. So That's another, and the same. I don't. It's not always people associate grapes with wine, and so that's why if they wanted grapevines, I was gonna pitch off-season grapevines. Okay, this was my own, looks like editing error. So then what I did was I created a design, and the way I created this design was on my iPad in Procreate, and I just layered in the other images. So this was from the first mural I showed.
Yeah.
This was from the second mural I showed. This is just a little bit of sketching I added on. This tree, I used the leaves tool because trees are just really hard to draw leaf by leaf. So I use that leaf tool, and it's not perfect, but it gives a definition of scope. So I can say to them, do you see how this white space, we're not going all the way to the edge.
Yeah.
We're going to leave some white space here. We're not going all the way across. Like I need to define how big the tree will be. And
Yeah.
actually it's going to go up on the ceiling, but I didn't put that in this sketch, but I think I mentioned it elsewhere. Like it would be nice to
Yeah.
do.
The scale works really well there.
Yeah, and you can see when I talked about it, the odd shape. Well, how are you going to design a mural for such a, especially a landscape, in such a odd shape? It's not a rectangle. That's why I didn't want to do corner to corner per se. It's the librarian's desk behind that. And here is a picture of that space. The librarian's desk is a corner desk right there. These are the shelves. And you see how the tree is a great, when I saw how this butts out like this, it naturally, like branches curve out. They're going different directions. So I can play with the spatial movement that's, present in the space with the tree.
You're
And then
able to really utilize your graphic design skills to do a mock-up like this, that like this is the installation that you haven't done it yet, right? This
no,
is
I'm going to start today.
right. This is your mock-up based on your sketch inside the library, and it looks like it's done. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
that is such
And
an amazing opportunity to give them that to see.
yeah, yeah. And I just want to say, I do not have great design skills. I feel they're my weakest point. And I mean, I did very little original design work here besides using the leaf tool and a little bit of like, color, like right just in this point. But these were just, I erased with a low opacity brush. And so I don't think my design skills are that strong. I just took one image, imported the other, and just used an eraser around the edges. It was pretty easy to do, honestly. Procreate I learned it in like an hour. And so I'm not a great digital designer. I think my strength is painting on the wall because I've been doing it so long.
Well,
The design.
I appreciate your humbleness.
Ah, I'm being honest. But yeah, so something else, Daniel. I mean, I just wanted to show. Oh yeah, there's a little bit more because I created a second design. If you want, I'll take a before picture today. I'll take a progress photo, so that people can see the different steps. That anybody watching who's curious.
Sure.
And then a final photo so they can see how different it is color wise and what it ends up looking like, just like as a follow up.
Happy to. That'd be wonderful.
Yeah. So I actually created a second design, and first I did a source image. This is what I did for a housing development in Palo Alto last year. This is a manzanita, and I wanted to let the concrete breathe through. Again, I dropped off the background on this, and it has to do with, again, I'm losing the words, but it's something around just managing the volume of the artwork within the space and thinking about the library and not wanting something that's too overwhelming that's going to work there. And so having this breathing room around the artwork seemed like an important point. So I also said we could also do something like this being oversized leaves, oversized birds, and they would still get the color pops because manzanita has some great, red and golden and blues in it and the red bark. So I said, we could do something like this, which is playful. And they said, no, we like the landscape better. So anyway, and that's that.
Well, congratulations. Thank you for sharing that. It's a really
Yeah.
exciting to see your process and your how you developed it, how you digitized it, how you presented it. And yeah, if you want to send images, that would be great. I'd love to see some before and after and show that to people who've seen this video. That's a really how the tell me more about like what like when you're presenting a project like that. Like, are you see, you're coming from this place of like wanting to create peacefulness, joy, togetherness. Is there like any other elements in there that kind of tie in for you of like the why you make art or why you see art to be used in society today?
Ye- yeah. So, I can only speak from what my creative voice is.
Of course.
And
Yes.
so this whole thing that I want the art to feel good, I also really want the art to feel good to make. And so I'm going for also a certain looseness. I've been criticized in the past by specifically my ex, is I was like, it's not like exact enough. It's not detailed enough, like it's too loose. And I'm like, that's the point. I want it to feel like there's breathing room. It's not perfect, perfect. It's not photorealistic because that isn't as much fun for me to make. And I like a certain amount of like looseness in the artwork. And then, so I also feel like that gives it a fine art feel because in the mural space, traditionally, um, I don't know, I just like the idea of large fine art. It's just a little bit. So I like that layering. So I'll often like roll on the colors and then I do a second coat where things are blocked in. And then there's a third coat where the details are added. So you can see the layers as you work forward. So there's a certain movement to it. That's really what I'm going for. And that energy, like something I really, so this is a good time to introduce the book.
Yes, please. So tell us about this book that you've written and how that ties into your development as an artist and what you're putting out to the world.
Yeah, so this I wrote in 2020 when I was a little bit grounded. Like,
Hold it up one more time.
it's called the Mural Artist Handbook.
Great.
It's available on
Awesome.
Amazon.
I have one in my house.
Oh, good. I hope yeah. And so when I use the word grounded like an airplane, when I couldn't do projects for 6 months just because of lockdown. Um, I had wanted to write. Well, I've been writing this blog for a decade. I had started the podcast. So I felt like I had a lot of content. I was like, I want to help the world, right? When COVID happened, everyone's like, what can I do? Should I raise money for this? Should I do that? And I said, you know what? This is a time where I can give back to the art community. So I definitely wrote the book as a service project. One thing I'm good at is the business side. And so I tried to introduce my concepts of how to run a mural art business. But the way I approach it is, I hope, very gentle and
Yes.
very doable. So that was something that I hope carried through the book. And so the way I do it.
Can you open up the book and show us an element, read something to us, show us some images?
Yes. So the whole thing about making it just gentle and easy is there's a bunch of pictures in here too.
Right.
So I put pictures of other artists. I just put pictures of me having fun as a mural artist. This is with some kids and a bus I painted as part of a Kickstarter. I ran a Kickstarter campaign to paint a bus for a nonprofit community center. And this is a bus that takes these kids out around the community.
Wonderful.
So, nothing is too, it's just I want to make the casual approach. So
I like you've got philosophy in there. You've got like
yeah,
things to make
it
you
has
feel good. Great words of aspiration.
Here's my great design work. I just did it with a pen, it's like,
Yeah.
okay. Actually, I was inspired like 15 years ago from the Austin Kleon books, Steal Like an Artist. And they're just nice
Excellent.
pictures. And I love all these quotes have been core to me, like have patience. All things are difficult before they become easy.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I showed you this project I'm going to do today. I did a library last week. No, the week before last in 4 days. I did all around like a 40-foot library. I did something that was like 4 to 5 times the scope of what I'm going to do today. in 4 days, like 2 weeks
Wow.
ago. It's not it's like I just do it so fast and so easy. I don't have to look up every horse, every cow I paint, every rabbit. I've painted so many animals, so many oak trees, so many of these local landscapes that it just flows out of me like boom. And so it's easy for me now. And it wasn't. And I try to remind the artists of that all the time. Like running the business side is hard right now. It's on autopilot. I don't think about running my business as much as I used to. In fact, I feel guilty all the time that I don't pay attention to my business. But yet, some things are automated and I do it. I call people back. And actually sometimes I don't. People wait for me now. There's no rules.
And
Anyway,
this all ties into that quote that's behind you.
yeah, it gets easier. What you repeat, you strengthen. And like, those quad muscles, we don't even know when we're using our quad muscles anymore. We just, because they're just there for us. And like, I can keep my arm over my head for 4 or 5 hours a day. And it's not a problem for me. It's like so trained after all these years. Yeah. So it gets easier. Everything gets easier.
Yeah, showing up, building that muscle and building that expertise. They say to be a master at anything, you need, 10,000 hours. And it's like, there's, the story of, Picasso doing a piece of art on a napkin in a restaurant. And someone says, "Oh my God, can I buy that from you?" And he just scribbled it out. And he's like, "Sure, $10,000. And they're like, "What?" He's like, "Well, I put 10,000 hours in to get here." So it's like
Yeah.
that ease that you're talking about, that flow. You've put the work in. You have shown up and
Yeah.
repeated the steps over and over and over again. It's really impressive.
And I have to tell people that when they're like, "Oh my God, you painted that in 4 days." And I say 4 days and 25 years, Or they're like, "How much do you get an hour?" And it's like, it would not make any sense for me to charge by the hour at this point. I had to unhook myself from an hourly wage a long time ago. I think about how much I need to make in a year, how many projects I can take on a year to have a sane life. And I'm working backwards now. And so, this book, I'm really proud of it. I hope it for me, I just broke down all the wisdom that I wish I had. I'm a slow learner. It's so straightforward: how to price, how to find clients, and some of the like how to market. It's not in the last 2 years the best, Facebook strategies, how to make the best reel. It's not that. It's just on principle. Spend
Yeah.
this much time doing this. Spend this much time, focus on the things, do it in a way that's sustainable for you. So if
Yeah.
you dread it, try to think about how to make that easy. Don't do that. You can push yourself only so far. So, I keep my days short. I challenge myself a little bit in new ways all the time. But for me, the edges that I challenge myself are not the same ways a beginner would.
Well, you've
And
given
the ways I challenge myself are often like, how can I make this easy today? How can I not feel guilty about doing this the way that I want to do it today? Like,
that's your new challenge for yourself, is how you can not feel guilty, make things easier, just have a
yeah,
little fun.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, like today, I have a job I'm starting. It's whatever time it is. I don't know what time it is. I need to load up my car. I just printed out these images. I'm going to show up at 11:30. I'm going to, have a nice lunch at 1. I'm probably going to work until 3 or 4. I'm going to make it a day of ease. And that's actually a challenge for me. That's my learning edge in life. Like, a way to make it sustainable. I used to be like, gotta be there at 9, gotta look professional, gotta show people who I am, prove myself. And now it's like, no, I'm going to show people how good life can be today. And everyone wants to talk, just smile and enjoy. Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing. Morgan, you've inspired me, and I hope you inspire many, many more people with your work, with your book, with your murals.
Thank you.
Tell us one last time, like some places some people can go to see some of your work.
Well, my website is a great one because, if you have the great pleasure in life to visit Isla das Flores, it's in the Azores in Portugal. It's a small island, only 2 miles wide. I went there and painted like half the buildings on the island. It was like
Oh,
20,
goodness.
well, I guess it was 17 murals in 20 days. So sometimes people will just come across my work in the world and it's like, who did that? And I'll get texts from people in other states and things like that. But mostly it's around the Bay Area. I live in the San Francisco Peninsula. So I've got a lot of projects. Like I'm just working on an extension right now in San Jose on one of my, it's actually my biggest mural. It's like, I don't know, 200 feet long. Um, it's in a neighborhood. So I have a mural map on my website. I do restaurants. I've done restaurants around the United States or residences. Yeah. I mean, I painted maybe like 650 murals, which
No
actually
wonder.
is not that much. There's a lot of mural artists. I mean, my friend I was just talking to in, she's in San Diego. She's at like 1,600 murals. She just cranks out creativity. It's amazing.
Does that output matter so much? 1,600, 10,000, 500.
It doesn't actually. Mm-mm. Like I like the flow that I'm in and the way I do it works for me. And I think that's the most important thing. Like what are your metrics of success? Like what does success look like for you? And yeah, that matters more than anything else.
Wow. Very, very heartfelt conversation here. I really appreciate it. Tell us your website again.
Morganmurals.com.
Morgan Murals.
Morgan Murals. You can also do morganmuralstudios.com. That's my full business name, but Morgan Murals is the one I use because it's shorter and easier to remember.
Wonderful. Any last words that you'd like to impart?
Thanks for doing this, Daniel.
You're
Like,
very welcome.
there's a long tail to sharing, and you just never know who's going to come across it. And yeah, it's a privilege to be an artist, and I wish that for everybody who wants that, to make a living as an artist, to make
Hmm.
it work. Yeah, I really wish that for everybody. And I wish everyone to fall in love, and I wish everyone good health. I just wish that. So I try to create that.
Well, that's wonderful. I really, really appreciate this conversation with you, Morgan. Thank you all for tuning in, and I look forward to more follow up and getting to see you in person and see more of your work in person.
Thanks, Daniel. Good to see you today.
Good to see you too. Thank you very much, Morgan.
For
You take
yourself.
care. Bye. All right. That was awesome.
Oh, good. Thanks. I don't know what time it is. Did I go way over?
Oh,
Probably.
it looks like